Welcome back to the Midnight Gospel, where we fall asleep to stories slower than time itself. Outside, the sky is turning soft. Not night, not quite morning. Somewhere outside the gates, before the crowd, a disciple wakes. The world holds its breath, blue and quiet, as if the dust is waiting for news. It's the kind of day that begins with a small shiver, the air gentle but cool. A breeze wanders in from the wilderness, not a wild thing, but careful, almost curious. Lamp smoke curls thin from quiet clay roofs. Sheep shift in their pens. I sit very still, listening for a sound that doesn't rush, a bird that sings before it remembers it's alone, the hush that stays behind when the song is done. Most mornings I wake to hunger, plain, low, nothing sharp. Today the hunger is familiar. It doesn't frighten me. Out in the wilderness, the sand is still painted with shadows. We have come so far, following a promise. Feet tired, hearts quieter than yesterday. When we first left the city, I missed the noise. I don't know if anyone sleeps here. I don't know if anyone quite wakes either. Each day something waits just out of sight. But it comes always, soft, quiet, as if the sky itself has remembered me. Somewhere tonight, before I open my eyes, there will be manna, the shape of silence itself, brushing the ground as gentle as dew. No one knows the hour. I have never seen it fall. I turn, folding my blanket as the light changes. The world feels safe at this hour. Anyone could believe in grace just for a moment. A fire is not a miracle. Bread is not a miracle, not when you are hungry. Still, there is a kind of gladness. My hands are empty, and yet I am not alone. Someone or something always leaves enough. You don't need to stay awake for the story, it will stay awake for you. First, there is no color, only a hush beneath the waking stars and that cool, shifting blue before the smallest birds begin their song. My breath rises in the stillness, then settles again. The mat feels rough under my palm, woven by someone else's hands long ago. I listen to the camp while it sleeps, soft shuffles, a cough far off, the gentle promise of feet not yet moved. The air is almost sweet, almost nothing, a taste of water before thirst. I pull the edge of my blanket up just to my chin and rest a moment longer. Sleep hasn't quite left. It sits behind my eyes, heavy, easy. I let it, there is no hurry here. A shoulder stretches quietly. I hear the breath of the one beside me, a child dreaming of round stones or wild goats, her face turned to the sky. No one speaks, not yet. Someone sighs, it is safe to sigh. Even the goats are quiet this early. The woven mat creaks as I prop myself on one elbow. The thread of sleep wants to hold me and I almost let it. My knees are stiff from the cool night. It is a good ache, the first of the day. I remember the bread left from yesterday, hidden in a cloth. I do not rise yet. Let this moment stretch. Beyond the camp, the dark is losing its edge. Someone far off begins to stir, blanket pushed aside, a quiet shifting of feet. I rub my eyes. The world blurs, then returns. Sand is everywhere, even in dreams. Here in silence the sky promises, nothing more than morning. It will be enough. The pots wait empty by the embers. The spoon lies across my lap, cold and forgotten. I try to remember my dream. It slips away softly, as all dreams do. Only peace remains. A woman gathers her hair beneath her head cover, movement slow and steady. She smiles barely at the dawn. I notice her hands are cracked from the pot handles, still gentle. No one rushes, not here. Even the birds seem to hover in their old dreams. Someone coughs again. The world is waking, one heartbeat at a time. I listen, wondering what comes first, hungry or grateful. I let the thought float away like steam over an empty bowl. Sleep lingers between every breath. I adjust my sandal strap, feeling the leather's softness, warm from my body. Last night's fire is just a memory now, a line of pale gray ash in the sand. Ashes always look softer at dawn. From the far side of the camp, a whisper of song floats through the tents, something about water, a garden, maybe home. I pause to listen, but it is already gone, tucked away in some old memory that came with us out of Egypt. The melody stays with me anyway until I find my own way to hum, very quietly, only for myself. Dust settles everywhere. It almost looks gold in this light, soft as hope left unattended. My feet press gentle hollows in the ground as I shuffle to the door of the tent. There is a feeling clear and quiet, like standing just before a promise. Let this moment stay, longer than it should, behind me. A neighbor mutters in her sleep, then falls silent, arms tucked close. The young ones are the last to rise. Their dreams must be softer, more patient. I think about my mother, somewhere just 3 tents away, untangling her hair, slow as the sun. I wish her a silent good morning, the way you do when words would only disturb the hush. With each breath, the edge of the world grows lighter. Someone's laugh flickers in the cool air, warm and shy, before drifting into quiet again. My own thoughts feel too loud. I let them wander, soft as lint in the folds of my sleep-creased tunic. Even this silence is holy. I kneel and smooth the mat with my palm, coaxing it flat. There are small stones caught in its weave. I pick one out, turn it over in my hand, and let my mind wander to nothing much. How many stones I have carried in my pockets, how each one finds its own place in the world. The day hasn't quite started. We wait for someone else to say so, someone braver or just hungrier. The sky is slow to change. In the space between stars, the first pale blush of morning walks in. I pull my blanket tighter for a moment, comforted by its weight. Everything feels lighter here, weightless, full. I notice the quiet around me, how thick and gentle it is. It's like we are sleeping together, all of us, even as we start to wake. Familiar shapes rise in the half-light. A boy fetching water, a girl with a folded cloth. No one meets anyone's eyes. We are still inside ourselves, minds full of nothing, hearts attentive to quiet. The first tent flap opens, just a crack. I see a hand, then a face blinking against the soft new day. His beard is tangled, but his eyes are gentle. He smiles at nothing in particular, the way you do when you have survived the night. Nobody asks for anything. Not yet. It's enough to just be here, knees pulled in, watching the world go gentle. No one noticed the prayer, but it was heard. Let your breath be slow as the sun. The stones underfoot are cool, but they keep the memory of sun. I wonder if the ground misses us when we leave it empty at night, if the footprints make it feel less alone. A caravan of ants meanders by, faithless to any path but their own. They seem unconcerned with bread or hunger or promise. I smile at their patience. The first part of morning belongs to creatures smaller than us. I hear a bowl clink softly against another, the sound of breakfast yet to come. No one is in a hurry. I remember how it was some nights to be uncertain, whether the manna would appear, whether the new day would keep its promise. Today, hope feels ordinary, just another part of arriving. There is kindness in this first hour. I hold it close, even as the rest of the camp stirs, yawns, remembers old aches, dreams about sweet things just ahead. Nothing truly happens, and yet everything does. Let the day begin or slip away again, free as your next breath. He asked for nothing and still felt full. We wait together, quietly alive, quietly grateful, before the dew and the hush turn into story. This is the part of miracle that never gets written down, the part where people simply wait, where there is only dawn, small aches, a child's sigh, and the slow blending of prayer into day. You might fall asleep here with me. If you do, the story will hold you and the morning will wait. The sun isn't here yet, only the blue above and the sand cooling down after a heavy night. You hear the first quiet things, the tent canvas shifting, linen stretching out of sleep. Someone nearby coughs, the sound floats out, then it ends. A blanket needs shaking. Your hand lifts, slow, tired underneath its work. Each fold falls onto itself. Once then again. The linen hangs and waits. You reach for the basin. Water from the old jar smells like stone. Morning makes every movement smaller, softer. Each rinse flows silent from palm to wrist. Every droplet wants to be the last. Nearby someone sits. They pick at old bread. Tear, chew, swallow. Nothing has changed. Nothing new. You listen to the rhythm of small gulps. You breathe in just a little longer than usual, letting the moment stretch. The world is quiet as linen. Even this silence is holy. When you step outside, the sand lifts beneath your soles. The air is shy, half asleep with you. You gather the blanket tighter. The memory of warmth floats by. Another kettle comes too. Tiny bubbles licking the clay rim. Steam trails between tents unwatched. There is no hurry, not today, not ever. People shuffle between sleeping mats. Each pair of feet presses old footprints deeper. No one rushes. No one raises their voice. You kneel beside a doorway. Fingers scoop at the dust. It's only habit, nothing to find. You pat the ground once, then again palms rest. You wait. Time moves soft like cloth. Now your eyes wander forward. At first it's only dew, a wetness, sudden and slightly sweet, pressed flat across the sand. You blink, a slow, long blink, letting the world change if it wants. The dew stays. It doesn't move. You whisper, maybe to yourself, maybe to the quiet morning. What is that? The question doesn't hurry. It lies down between the tents. It waits with you. You breathe in again, longer, as if still waking up, as if nothing matters but the sound of your own breath. A child points toward the ground. Their hand hesitates, then drops away. The silence folds around the gesture, keeps it hidden. A figure stoops beside the edge of the path. Their garment brushes the newness. They say nothing, just watching. No one tries to name it, not yet. A neighbor whispers it's still there, as if the dew might disappear by looking too hard, but it doesn't. It lingers patient like the last dream before waking. You lean closer. The air smells faintly of honey, maybe only your memory, maybe more, no one knows. Someone else kneels, slow, careful, their knees bending as if to avoid breaking the silence. Fingers pressed down. The dew yields. Beneath it, a crust, a thin frost that caves in. You watch. You let your own hand copy theirs, not because you want to, only because the moment invites you to notice it. All around, sandals press patterns into the soft newness. Step after step, some stand, some wait. The world is watching itself. No one rushes to gather. No one shouts for more. Every movement is soft, sleepy, like folding a dream. What is it? Repeats pass after pass. Whispers fold like linen. Again and again, you trace the outline of a flake with your thumb. It clings to the skin. You hold that feeling. You don't need to understand it. Let this moment stretch. A bird picks at the edge of the field, quiet. Feathers ripple. Its head tilts sideways, just watching. The bird is in no hurry. The dew brightens with the slowness of the sky. The world holds its breath. Someone coughs again, tired, holy repetition. You sigh, letting your chest fall, then rise, then fall again, each breath slow, soft. Even the silence moves gently. Someone further out hums. Maybe a prayer, maybe not. No one needs to put words on this morning. The manna, if that's what it's called, just waits to be noticed. Again and again, you stand where you are. Sand in your sandals, flakes gathering at your feet. Everything is slower. The way the wind lifts, the way your heart feels held. A cup sits, forgotten, beside a stone. Morning light finds it. The world keeps unfolding in small ways, gentle ways, nothing to chase away the peace. You rub the sleep from your eyes. The ground shines like frost, thin and dull and holy, just there, just enough. You don't need to reach for it, you can just see. You can just be. Let this quiet stay with you. Someone's hand brushes your shoulder. You glance back. They smile, slow and silent. The world is softer than you remembered. The day can begin like this. The day can take its time. All around, the tents breathe out their sleep. The dew holds, shimmering, not changing, no matter how many eyes watch it. Even this moment is holy. Let yourself rest here. The manna will wait, quiet as the hush before bird song. You don't need to gather it yet. You don't need to decide if it's real or if you're dreaming. Just breathe, let your thoughts drift out, then back in, like the morning air hovering above the ground. Like the gentle pauses everyone takes before they remember to speak, before they remember to move. What is it? Again and again, murmured beside bread, whispered over clay cups, hollowed into the palms, almost like a prayer. No one noticed the prayer, but it was heard. You are not hurried. You are not expected. You are only asked to see, and then see again and again until seeing feels like breathing and breathing feels like rest. The night listens with you, stillness pressing out the day as the ground shines, dull and holy, under everyone's feet. Just let the silence breathe and stretch, and hold you here, sleep if you wish. The dew will be here when you open your eyes. The miracle lingers across the sand, slowly, quietly, like the world waking up more gently than it needs to. Before the sun climbs, I walk quietly over sand that still remembers the night. The ground is cool and smooth beneath my feet, each step soft, almost shy. The old wind is not finished. It moves over the tents, toys gently with loose cloth, then leaves a hush behind. Around me, no one speaks. We just listen to the small crunch of footsteps, to a bird's call far away, to the careful sounds of waking life. There's the scrape of a clay cup against a stone, and the hushed rustle of linen against knees as we bow to the quiet work of gathering. The air still tastes of last night, soft, almost sweet, and every breath is slow. My fingers sink into the top layer of sand and dew, searching for what waits there. There is a sound. The dull pat of something grainy scooped into my open hand. I let it sit there, marveling at how light it is, how it feels almost like nothing at all around me. Others stoop to their collection, careful, quiet, no hurry. I watch a child pause, examining his palm as if he's found a secret. He gathers, too, only as much as his mother will let him. It isn't much, this gathering, just enough to quiet an empty place. We do it together, but no one commands. The sky brightens by slow degrees, blue slowly stealing the last gray from the world. Someone sighs, lifting what they need into a small bag with a soft, practiced motion. A hint of sleep still in their eyes. We barely speak. Sometimes hands brush and there's a small, shy smile, but not much more. There is a tiny music, the grain slipping, the sand being swept aside, the little clinks and drifts and muffled echoes. Everything sounds filtered, as if wrapped in the fine stillness of morning. Let this moment stretch. I find myself watching the horizon, nothing moving but a distant goat or the long shadow of a neighbor. The work slows as the sun warms the edge of my back. We do not hurry. It is only what we need, only what today will hold, only enough. Even this silence is holy. Sometimes the wind brings a whiff of wildflower or old ash. Sometimes I hear someone humming, almost lost in the hush, almost inside their own thoughts. I think about how each day begins this way, open hands, gentle patience, a rhythm that never shouts for attention but always gives just enough. The night listens with you. I was folding cloth when the first hush drifted in, the kind that comes before bread is born. Someone was already kneeling by the flat stones, dusting them off with patient fingers. We gathered the manna, a wordless gathering, knees damp from the grass. There wasn't much talk, only the sound of hands brushing off crumbs, a slow pile building in woven baskets. No one marked the miracle, not out loud. We let the manna speak for itself, whisper soft as we crushed it into a dull, pale mash that stuck to our knuckles. My sister pressed her palm across the sticky mound, careful not to lose even a grain. The smell was gentle, like cool dew and earth warmed by sunrise. As we kneaded, I could hear the old dog breathing in the shade, flanks rising and falling with each drowsy sigh. Flat stones circled the fire, laid out in the round, as if waiting for us before we knew we would need them. Someone fed slow, thin twigs to the embers. The fire was shy today, blue smoke swirling and escaping with each careful breath. The heat was just enough to call the manna dough awake, no more. We pressed the mash flat, palm against palm, thumbs smoothing the edges, slow, easy shapes that never needed to be perfect. There were no secret songs, just a shared quiet and the scratch of dough on stone. The world outside was wide and uncertain, but here, over the embers, it was enough to simply push the dough, tender and silent, into something round and small. We baked in shifts, waiting for edges to brown, watching for the delicate blisters that said it was ready as anything needs to be. The baking smelled faintly sweet, as if the morning itself was melting into each round. No one hurried the fire, no one tried to impress. Bread was passed across open hands, still warm, still delicate. Some dipped chunks into cool water from the well. Most, like me, just held a piece, breathing in the meal before the first bite. There were a few glances, a nod from my uncle, a small press of a hand against mine, enough to say we belonged even in silence. We chewed with slow jaws, letting the taste linger. A crust fell into a lap, no fuss. Someone caught a crumb and pressed it into their palm, the tiniest act of care. I watched the last of the smoke drift over the fields and everything felt quietly full, no need to ask for more. Let this moment stretch, I thought, let even this silence be holy. The meal left us content but not heavy. The world outside grew softer, faces slackening into the first wave of rest. The flat stones cooled and the night listened with us, just the way it always has. The meal slips behind us. Lentils spooned from a cracked bowl, bread torn in halves and left in a soft heap. The sun hangs not overhead, not quite inside the tent, drifting sideways, drawing shadows that stretch further than our arms when we reach. A few men sink back against the stone, eyes closing in the slow warmth. Their breath is deep and even, as if the world itself were pausing. Someone hums a piece of an old song but lets it fade before the words begin. Nothing calls. No one is asked to move. I take the sandal in my lap, run my thumb along the stitching. The leather is cracked and tired, bent where the journey pressed it flat. My needle pushes through with a gentle sigh, and every pull gathers time. Sometimes the whole lines up just so, and the mending erases itself, quietly whole again, almost as if nothing had happened at all. Beyond me, a woman wipes dust away from a clay jug. Her hands are slow, round, wiping as if to soothe, not to clean. A child sits in the shade, tracing lines in the sand with a stick. He isn't drawing anything, only moving the shape of the afternoon, letting it fall apart behind him. Each line is swept away by a breeze. The air around us is thick and sweet. Sleep clings to my eyes. I wait for a reason to stand, but the reason never arrives. Let this moment stretch. On the far side of the tent, two friends share a jug of water. They pass it without speaking, listening to the tiny sound of thirst sighing into the clay. One smiles, eyes closed, grateful in a way that asks for nothing. And still he feels full. No one hurries. Even the goats outside have slowed, pressed into the slivers of shade that ribbon along the tent walls. An older man fans himself with a strip of palm, his movements so soft they barely stir the air. Still, every so often, a faint coolness brushes past me, as if the world remembers I am here. The sun keeps moving, but it never seems to get anywhere. Shadows walk longer across the rugs, spilling toward a basket of figs. Someone breaks one open, shares the halves with open palms. The taste is quiet, almost sweet, almost nothing at all, and yet I know I'll remember it longer than I should. Even this silence is holy. I pull the sandal closed and knot the thread. Above us, a bird calls once, then settles down. I watch where the dusk gathers in the corners, soft as the hush that wraps around everyone here. It's a kind of rest that doesn't ask permission, just offers itself, cool and harmless, until the day feels empty and full at the same time. A prayer is whispered, maybe only in the mind. I don't hear the words. No one notices. But it is heard. The night listens with you, in the gentle hush of heat and shadow. I close my eyes, just to listen to my breath becoming slower. Time drifts, unhurried. There is nothing to do but mend and wait, and quietly, let the hours pass. The sun sits low, easy over the camp. Its light does not press, just lingers warm as a wool blanket across shoulders. Around this hour the shadows move slower. Nothing urgent, nothing loud. I sit beside the fire pit, picking dry grass from my hem, the smoke curling up and away as if even it is in no hurry. Out past the last clumps of sleeping mats, children drift between canvas tents. There is no true game, no prize to win. They announce themselves only in bits of humming or sudden laughter that fizzles as quick as it appears. Small feet kick up dust as if gently asking the earth's permission. Their sandals slap and scuff, easy. The sound rests between the stones. A boy traces his toe along the curve of a pan left to dry by its owner. A girl balances a dried fig on her forehead, determined not to let it roll. Someone else I cannot see who counts stones in a careful stack, their hum rising and falling without any song inside it. There is peace here as deep as the air. No one rushes them. The soft bustle and grown-up talk of nearby mothers is just a safe fence, invisible but sure. Let this moment stretch. No one tells them where to go. Their path curves wherever their feet choose. Some wander close to the bread table where leftover crumbs collect in bowls. A small hand loops through a friend's, both faces sticky with rest and sunlight. They lean on one another, weaving simple shapes in the dust, an unfinished circle, a crooked line, patterns meant only for them. I watch. I think sometimes they are watched by more than me. It feels that way, as if the hush that crowns their play is not just my silence but something greater. Not a lesson, just a watching, precise and gentle as the breeze. No one noticed the prayer, but it was heard. Once a stray goat stirs and looks their way. One of the smallest girls laughs and mimics its voice, making all of them tumble down, guileless with glee. Others climb to their knees, dust streaking the backs of their legs, and keep laughing for long after. You'd think they'd tire, but they only soften into the afternoon, quieter and lighter still, until even the laughter is part of the air, not a thing to hold. Even this silence is holy. A basket sits in the shade, figs and stones, the children's small treasures mixed together. They do not weigh or count them. They simply offer, swap, and forget. A child hands a bruised fig to another, who nods as if it were gold. These small trades go on until someone's mother calls out for water or a nap, and the spell thins but does not break. Across the tents, mothers and fathers speak soft and low. Bread is torn in half, shared with those nearby. Nobody kept track, nobody left hungry. Nearby, someone sweeps crumbs from a cloth onto the earth. Little hands follow, gathering what's left. I've seen it 1,000 times, but today it glows, the sharing, the gentle mess. Let the world feel far. Sometimes one child lags behind, sitting alone in the shade of a basket, lost in string or a smooth pebble. They look neither happy nor sad, simply still. A shadow passes, a bird's call rings out and fades. The child leans into the basket, closes their eyes. No one hurries them on. Here, time is soft. Rest is full and permission is always given. The night listens with you. I remember when I was that small, knees dusted, hands sticky. I never worried who would come for me, or whether the sun would find me in the morning. I know, sitting here now, that those small days drifted on an unseen joy, a gift not earned, just given. Children don't weigh their belonging. They wake up held, sleep held still, all without asking. He asked for nothing and still felt full. A boy calls out, not a name but a sound, and two others echo him. Their voices skip forward, leapfrog between tents. Bit by bit, they invent a language out of afternoon joy, needing nothing more. The cooks in the shade pretend not to listen, but I catch their secret smiles as they knead dough, half humming the children's tune. It all folds in together. Even chores turn sweet when joy lingers in the air. A woman fills a jar, pours water from above so it spatters the stones and cools the dirt. The children tiptoe around, hands trailing through the damp patches, claiming them as new rivers. The grown-ups are careful to let them believe it. Sometimes the world is exactly as simple as they see it, full, present, enough. Everything needed, right in reach. Let this gentle world become your breath slowly. The sun leans away. Shadows feather long, catching the curls of children's hair as they last linger between tents, quieting with the day's end. Still, none of them looks lost. Each one is seen, each little face caught in the slant of light, belonging, wanted, cared for, and more. No one instructs them to rest, but their bodies know. Joy rises, then settles, as if following a tide unseen. Somewhere, above, behind, within, I trust someone else watches, as the children settle and the night draws near. That same soft watching that gently closes our eyes and promises, the joy that cannot be earned, only received. Let your spirit rest here, just for now. The world breathes slow, and the children drift deeper just as we do, trusting the quiet, never counting what is owed, knowing all is given again and again. Grace is here. Sleep, full and safe, in the camp of joy. Somewhere further from the noise of the market, just beyond the chatter, quiet work carries on, softer than a lamb's sigh. I used to think you had to say prayers loud to be heard. But here, in the cool dimness, the elders murmur them like secrets meant only for God. The small house smells of woven rushes, old olive oil, and of wool, always wool. There's a gentle hush beneath the low roof, not from holiness but from habit. This is how the day breathes. Thin sunlight spills over cracked stones, pools beneath the benches, dappling the floor mats made from fraying palm leaves. The woven mats tickle my ankles when I shift, and the reed ends sometimes surprise me, a rough edge against my foot, a prickly ghost waking up the skin. That's all right. The floor here remembers many steps before ours. Old Ruth sits in her usual spot, back hunched, knees wider than her feet, a folded linen tunic stretched across her lap. Her fingers, thickened with years, tease apart a seam just beginning to fail. She works slow, pinching the loose thread between thumb and nail, and draws the needle through, unhurried, as if the day itself could last forever if she wills it. I think of all the hands that have worn that tunic, all the meals eaten, prayers muttered, tears dried on its sleeve. The wool itself feels different now, patches stiffer than the body, smelling faintly of sheep and water long gone. The new cloth is a little too bright, soft as the down on a swallow's belly, not yet taught the weight of dust or sun. As Ruth hums low and tuneless, her thumb traces a feathery scrap, and I know she's listening for something old, a psalm her mother might have hummed before her. Let this moment stretch. Nearby, old Isaac rolls up a frayed strip of matting, testing it for new holes. His fingertips, shaped by decades of thrashing and planting, can feel what his eyes sometimes miss, a tiny gap, a soft place, a reed that slipped loose. He tucks in the stray ends with a sigh, the sound mingling with the slow, steady breathing in the room. Some mornings the wind sneaks in with bits of sand from the road. You find grit in the folds of the tunics, in the creases of your hand, sometimes even in your mouth. Ruth used to complain. Now she simply brushes it off, a few grains at a time. It seems easier to let dust be dust. Even this silence is holy. The air holds a psalm, nearly silent at first, just a hum, more vibration than music. Someone else adds words softly so the needles do not falter. I lie down and sleep. I wake again because the Lord sustains me. The rest is lost in the gentle scrape of bone against wood, the labor of mending. No one looks up. No performance, just a song that drifts through the room, waiting to land wherever it's needed. Sometimes I help fold what's finished. My hands try to learn the rhythm, edge to edge, always straight, then one more careful crease. The fabric is cool with shade and smells like last week's bread. There's a strange comfort in the repetition. A tunic folded, a satchel closed, a mat rolled for the night. These were never meant to impress anyone. They only need to last until tomorrow. The night listens with you, Isaac says. You patch what you have. He means the cloth, but maybe not only the cloth. His whisper is rough like torn canvas, but kind. I nod, still smoothing a hem that never seems to lay flat. My fingers find where the new linen meets the old, the seam rises, soft then scratchy, like a scar. Some pieces fit without trouble. Some have to be coaxed into belonging. Even stitches feel the strain, once in a while. Ruth smiles once just with her eyes. She starts a new seam, tongue peeking out as she threads her bone needle. Psalm words tumble from her lips in a way that makes them sound more like breathing than speech. No one notices, but it is heard. A hen clucks outside, scratching dust between stones. The scent of goat milk warms the corners of the room. Old sandals rest where the sun catches the leather, showing bare patches where feet have worn the softness away. I think of how everything here fades. Leather cracks, cloth tears, songs thin to a whisper, faith lingers anyway, finding quiet places between the threads, like a breeze you almost don't feel but know is there. Let this moment stretch. I watch as Ruth's hand stills on her lap. She rubs her thumb over the rough edge, feeling where her mother once patched the same tunic, crooked but still strong. Isaac tucks in a last read, satisfied with his small repair. No need to say they have finished. It is clear in the way their shoulders loosen just a little. The air is heavier now, like a blanket pulled up against the dusk. Light outside softens, stretching long shadows across the mats. The daily hum quiets. Voices drift into silence, replaced by the steady chime of distant bells. For a long time, nothing happens. The work continues, one stitch, one prayer at a time. Stories breathe here, hidden in the seams, where no one will look. I find myself picking at lint on my own cloak, smoothing the old wool worn thin at the sleeves. There is peace in caring for what's old, in not hurrying. It's enough to be here, watching, folding, listening to prayers that never needed an audience. You don't have to stay awake for the story, it will stay awake for you, even as eyelids grow heavy. The murmured psalms wind around the rafters, and the patched tunics wait to be worn again, beneath the soft hands of dawn. It happens quietly, as it always does. The sun slips past the ridge behind our fields, and without a sound the world turns blue, then gray. The dust underfoot settles. The air holds its breath. A few of us wander out to the edge, arms careful not to spill lentils from shallow bowls. It's just enough food to share. The fires are low tonight. Fires always seem smaller when the day has been good. I sit with my back against a round stone, close enough to hear the wood crack and shift. In firelight, everyone's face looks a little softer. Lines blur where cheeks sink toward shadows. Miriam's hair gleams like old honey, the light catching on places she never thinks about. Jacob rubs his hands together and stretches out his legs closer to the flame. His sandals are almost silent against the hard earth. Let this moment stretch. No one asks questions here. Boys and girls curl up around their mothers, a few brave enough to bring their own spoon. Torches flicker behind stone fences, someone still feeding chickens or waiting for a goat to come home. Off toward the valley, wild dogs begin to call. It's a rough kind of singing, far away, flattened by wind. I listen from where I sit, spoon hovering above the lentils. The trees near the stream have quieted down to a hum of cicadas. All day those trees spoke to each other, twigs rattling, but at dusk they whisper. Even the little ones curl into themselves, tuck their faces beneath wings. It is a good thing, this slowness. Folding cloth from the line to the lap, watching the stars here and there as they arrive. Old Sarah sighs beside me, and it seems like her whole life passes through her, deep and simple, a stone dropped in water. She is never in a hurry anymore. Tonight her hands make a slow journey from bowl to lips, drifting, resting, never empty. The fire plays across our shins, reaching sometimes toward the knees, then retreating, just shadows for company. I count 3 people smiling, though no one laughs. Smiles grow easier in the dark, I think. I find myself doing it, eyes drifting, grateful for the way everything presses close, but not too close. Beneath the brush, beetles move. Their feet scuff the dry dirt in small, secret journeys. Someone nearby shifts a log and the flames stir, sending tiny embers up. Their dance is quiet, hopeful, silent praise carried straight into the blackening sky. Let this quiet gather. We don't talk much tonight. There aren't enough new stories. A few words make the rounds. Someone saw an eagle. Someone's cloth held its color after washing. Someone's brother came home late. But mostly we murmur easy sounds and let the night do the rest. Goats settle by the far fence, each one choosing the same patch she always chooses. Their bells have stopped ringing. Somewhere deeper in the olive grove, a child makes up a song with no words, her voice rising and falling like a breeze. No one asks her to stop. Even this silence, it's holy. Elsewhere, families sit in close circles. Some people are still finishing work, oiling wooden bowls, folding seed sacks for tomorrow. I watch them from where I am, the small things they do, half hidden by purple dusk. My feet are heavy, tucked beneath me on the tamped-down earth. I remember when I was small enough to climb onto my father's knee, legs swinging over the ground under the flicker of his shadow. He would rub my hair in circles, breathing slow so I could match him. He doesn't do that anymore. He sits a little ways off with the older men, voices low, comfortable. For a while we just look at the fire. Our eyes drift between faces and flame, never settling. Behind it all, the wind moves tiny corners of the world. Flags, loose sandals, a scarf left on the steps. I wonder if God sees these things, if he finds them as comforting as I do. Every time a log falls, sending out a soft blush of sparks, I feel the world breathe in again. You don't need to stay awake with us. The story keeps going, even if you drift. Someone covers a pot with a wet cloth, trapping the steam before it escapes. A boy counts the last stones in his pocket, the ones he gathered by the river. Someone braids her little sister's hair in the half-light, fingers slow, gentle, careful not to snag. I like this part of evening best, where everyone does what they've done 100 times before. The things that don't need remembering. The wilderness at the edge of the field is buzzing now, insects layering their voices on the hush. One bird calls out, clear and lonely, then falls silent. Someone cracks a knuckle. Another yawns into their shoulder, safe in the warmth of bodies circled near enough to lean on if need be. Let the embers glow for you. The night listens, even as you drift. A breeze touches the backs of our necks. It folds us forward, heads dipping toward bowls we've almost finished. There is no need to hurry, no need to stay alert. Firelight dances over dried herbs hanging from a stick. Sometimes the scent drifts over, rosemary and smoke together. Someone's bread, half burned, darkens on a flat stone. No one complains. We all eat it anyway, grateful enough for bread, grateful enough for every quiet thing. The fire is a thin line now. Miriam lays back against her mother's shawl, eyelids falling and rising. I can see the colors of the flames reflecting in her eyes every now and then. The dirt beneath my hands cools further. I rub my thumb into it, making slow lines, not pictures. Nothing needs to be drawn tonight. Let this hour linger. Someone starts a story, a real one about a prophet and a stranger in the night, but she lets it trail off before the miracle begins. I don't know if anyone noticed. No one minds. Our faces shine not from joy but from firelight. There is a difference. The quiet fills every crack, gentle and full. For a little while we are children again, safe under the watch of the hills and evening sky. We hold the moment close to our hearts, each breath drawn out, each movement slow as dusk. He asked for nothing and still felt full. When the last piece of wood is gone and only glowing embers remain, a few of us stretch out in the dust. The village feels very far away, though it's only a walk behind the next fence. Someone hums. Another fits two stones together like a small prayer. We rest where we are, half asleep, blinking toward the sky where one new star has come. The Lord is at the edges, not in the flame, not in the words, but in the almost no sound, the slow beating of a heart letting go. Breathe easy tonight, our sleep is simple. Even miracles pass us by quietly here. The bowl was not large, one you could just hold in your hands. Cup it gently the way you would a small animal or a handful of rain. We were not meant to save any for morning, but the day had been softer than most, and I suppose the thought of waking to a small comfort felt kind. No one spoke about it, not with words. The sun had barely dipped below the roofs, the sky gone a gentle blue-gray. My mother set the bowl by the low wall out of the way, not hidden, just there. The others washed their faces and feet. I watched the bread break into pieces and disappear, but ours, just a little, stayed where it was, left waiting with the night. Even as the house grew quiet, the bowl kept its place. The linen hung slack on the lines by the door. The floor smelled of old straw and bread. My father scratched out a line on the dirt, thinking, not for any reason except that his hand needed to move. You could listen to the breathing in the room. Gentle, sometimes a sigh, someone shifting just enough to catch the last blush of evening against the wall. Even the goat outside seemed to understand the hush. She waited, pressed in close where the stones still held their warmth from the afternoon. Let this moment stretch soon. Everyone grew slow, worn from the small work of the day. I watched my mother watching the bowl, a kind of quiet question behind her eyes, but nothing sharper than that. We all make little promises to ourselves or maybe to God, and sometimes we hold them and sometimes we forget. The bowl stayed full, not much, just enough to remind us of the sunlit morning when the world seemed to open its hands to us again. The air inside the house thickened with the smell of earth and wood smoke. Shadows moved slowly, soft, not troubling. I traced shapes on the clay wall with a fingertip, waiting for sleep, thinking of nothing important. Even this silence is holy. No one asked about the rule, not tonight. Rules felt slow and gentle after dusk, less like orders, more like old stories that wrapped around your neck, warm from old voices. My mother hummed to herself, one long quiet note, the same song she hummed while plucking wild herbs for the table. I was never far from the bowl in my mind. It seemed softer, less a thing forgotten and more a thing kept, a hope, small and pale as moonlight. You could almost believe the bowl belonged to the night. The night listens with you. Out past the gate, someone drummed their fingers on a pot. The sound was hardly there, just part of the hush. In the distance, someone called for water, voice low, not urgent. The bowl stayed in its patch of shadow, untouched. We stepped around it as though it was nothing, but we noticed. Small things often hold the most quiet weight. You don't have to stay awake. Tonight the story will keep its own watch. No shame entered the room. No one hurried to hide the bowl or cover it with cloth. We let it be, as though we were all learning to trust together. The discipline of letting go isn't always easy, even when you've seen mornings come and go. Even impatience can feel holy, stretched out by moonlight, if you look at it with a slow enough heart. Sometimes, when everyone else was asleep, I would listen to the soft sound of my own breath, the way it matched the rhythms of the world outside. Leaves shifted, sand moved, old dreams curled beneath our pillows. My father had once said that God walks slowly so that no one wakes afraid. Let this quiet be safe to you. Maybe trust grows like shade in the morning, slow at first, barely enough to cover your feet, patient as dew. A small bowl left overnight is not the end of trust, only a sign that our hearts walk at their own pace. Even the moon was kind that night. It spilled a rectangle of light across the floor, close enough to the bowl for comfort, but not so near as to startle it. I pressed my thumb into the hem of my tunic, feeling the softness of the fibers and the gentle pull of sleep. Somewhere outside, a fig had fallen unseen from its branch. No one noticed, but its landing was heard. You are held in every quiet moment. In the morning, things would go as they always did. Someone would carry the bowl to the door, look inside, and breathe out a gentle sigh, neither disappointed nor pleased, just awake. The bowl would be emptied, washed, returned to its place. Not a word would be spoken of what was left behind in the dark. All that mattered was today, and the slow, sacred movements that kept hope safe, even when we forgot the rules for a little while. He asked for nothing and still felt full. Let this soft ordinary pass through you. Trust grows even if it stumbles. The room is safe for sleep, for shadows, for small disobedience held without shame. Tomorrow comes quietly. The Lord knows you're waiting. The silence is long. Rest and let your heart move slowly through the night. The last flame didn't want to let go, not at first. It made a pale curl, then a sigh. Someone brushed their hands on faded cloth and stood a little nearer just to be sure. The evening was full of slow feet, the shuffle of sandals, the rustle of a worn robe turning inside out. No one hurried. The day was emptied out, limp as a blanket hanging over a rope. A small breeze moved through the camp. It was gentle, like someone looking for lost coins in the dust. Ash lifted and spun, soft gray in the moonlight all around. The shapes of people turned their faces from the draft, pulling folds closer. Someone tucked a sleeping child's arm back beneath a cover. The only song was the sound of linen sliding over skin. A woman folded one more blanket, smoothing out corners, fingers steady even in the shadow. In the space between her fingertips, ash landed. She brushed it away without thinking. Tired eyes drifted over the edge of the fire pit, now empty, except for a faint red glow softer than memory. Somewhere, feet shifted. A man on a thin mat drew his knees up as if holding in the last warmth. The sound of his breathing joined the others, one long hush, then another. Someone coughed, but quietly. No one spoke. Time stretched thin and thinner. Only the soft call of a night bird marked the hours far away. Leaves answered. The breeze settled itself over everything like a second skin. You might notice how your own breathing slows, too. There are only shared silences now. Bodies lying side by side but lost in their own dreams. The hush of sleep heavier than conversation ever was. A last hand smoothed the camp edge, tucking a basket beneath a traveling cloak. Someone sighed. Another rolled to face the stars. Even the quiet is communal here. Let this hush become yours. Let your breath match the night, slow and even as if nothing more is needed. Ash settles, dust drifts, and the camp breathes in time with the dusk. The air outside is cool, and the ground is warm from the memory of sunlight. I fold my blanket, the way my mother showed me, slow and careful, so its edges are even. My hands are tired, but it feels right to finish things gently. I take one last look at the moon. Tonight it hangs very round above the quiet hills. Wind moves softly over the stone and sand. My skin remembers the work of the day. My heart keeps the small kindnesses from morning and noon. I breathe out and let the wilderness hold me. There is a prayer, but I say it in just a whisper. Thank you for letting me belong to this silence. Then I listen for nothing, and nothing answers back, as if the world is waiting with me. My mind sets each old worry down one by one. The blanket settles over my legs. The darkness feels close and somehow soft. Stillness holds me. Even if I worry the silence will be empty, it isn't. Every sound from far away softens as I let go. The earth is slow, quiet beneath me. There is a kindness in the ordinary hush. The Lord knows my breath. I feel the rise and fall, my ribs lifting, lowering, like the tide coming in, going out. No one else hears, but someone does, someone ancient and patient. My breath is counted, it matters. I am not forgotten. There are nights when I wonder if my days matter at all. But even the small things like folding a blanket or watching the sky are seen. A record is kept, gentle and steady. I drift and feel remembered even in sleep. God walks slowly too. I remember the way the teacher walked beside the road, never hurried, never anxious. I can walk that way through the night at my own slow pace. There's no need to catch up. Grace is here. It's woven into the dull, soft earth beneath my feet and the air that smells of dust and olives. It is in this breath. It is in the spaces between my thoughts. I do not need to earn it. It finds me when I am still. Amen. 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 And the quiet stays. I let it be enough. The night listens with me. My eyes fall closed and there is no hurry to leave this silence. Just linen